What's up, guys? So in this video, I'm going to be going over what you can learn from Star Wars and how they use the Force and how that relates to building muscle and getting in shape and being healthier and all that other stuff. Since if you look at Star Wars, they actually draw a lot of inspiration from science and real world fitness and real world health and science and all that other stuff. It's super interesting, super cool, and without further ado, let's get into the video so you guys understand what I'm talking about. All right, guys. So, like I was talking about before, Star Wars. In Star Wars, when they use the Force, you know how, I don't know if you guys remember this, they use the midichlorians, and that's how they use the Force. And the midichlorian count inside a person's body is more or less how much Force they can use. And when they test Luke Skywalker, and they go and they test Anakin. Actually, when they test Anakin, you see in the movie, then they say he has an unbelievable amount of midichlorians like they've never seen before. Midichlorian count is inspired by the real world equivalent of midichlorians, which is mitochondria. In the movies, you see how midichlorians, they're supposed to be like these beings that flow through you and these things that are outer from the person, different organism, kind of, sort of. And it's the same thing with mitochondria. Mitochondria really is a different organism that lives inside of you. Mitochondria isn't something that your body naturally produces. It's a different organism that when we were tiny cells before we became big multicellular organisms, went into the cell and started using the materials that your cell produces, the byproduct, to then make ATP, which then the cell would use, and they started to create this sort of synchronetic, or they work together, the synchronetic relationship. They would work together, and one word, synergistic relationship. That's the word I'm looking for. Synergistic relationship, where they'd work together, and one would benefit from the other. And it's the same thing with midichlorians in Star Wars, where midichlorians help humans with using the Force, and they also help them with the humans. They help the humans with using the Force, and the humans help them by giving them a place to live. So mitochondria live in us, and the more midichlorians you have in Star Wars, the more Force you can use. And it's the same thing in real life, except the Force is different. You don't use actual Force, magic, power stuff. You use Force. You push stuff. The higher mitochondrial count you have, the more power your body produces, which means the more Force your body can produce. Mitochondria, the way when you measure mitochondria counts per cell. So each cell you have has a certain amount of mitochondria. So we're measuring the amount of mitochondria per cell. The average person has about 1,500 mitochondria per cell. And the higher the mitochondrial count, the more ATP you produce. And ATP, if you guys know from basic science or biology or whatever, is what you use for quick energy. So if you have high ATP, you have quick energy. If you have high mitochondria, you have more ATP, which gives you more energy. Your body will naturally increase, like in Star Wars. They increase the midichlorian count. The more you practice with the Force, the more you train, the more mitochondria your body will have. And these mitochondria, like I said, are different organisms that mix with cells when we're tiny cellular organisms. Since our organelles will create more byproduct, and then they'll get bigger, and they'll have to have more mitochondria to make up for that. So if we train, our cells become like better homes for the mitochondria. So there's more mitochondria that want to be produced. It's kind of like if you live in a third world country and there's no food, you don't want to have that many kids, because if you have that many kids, they're gonna all die. Once the resources are scarce, you have less kids. If you're in a country that there's a lot more food, and you'll see how countries that now third world countries that are getting a lot more food and a lot more stuff, their population booms because they have food, they can take care of them. So if you have a good cell, a healthy cell, mitochondria will want to reproduce because it reproduces asexually, so it produces with itself. And you'll be making up, it's like giving more units, more housing units, or making the house bigger. So each cell is a different house where mitochondria live. And there are all these little mitochondria families in your cells. The bigger your cell is, the healthier it is from training, from cardiovascular endurance, from all that stuff. The more space there's for mitochondria to live in there, and the more mitochondria that there is in there, the more you can train to then make it even bigger and bigger and bigger. Like I said before, the average mitochondrial count is 1,500, and this can be increased. So a really healthy, like someone who's trained for many, many years can get up to 3,000, and elite, top level elite athlete can get up to even 4,000 mitochondria per cell. So they're creating more than double the ATP of what an average person can. So if you're an elite athlete, and it's typically ATP and mitochondria count increases more in those sprinter types of sports, or those sports where you use a lot of type 1 fast twitch muscle fibers, where you're going quick. And actually, I'm pretty sure it's type 2, so it'd be like fast twitch muscle fibers. So you're using these fast twitch muscle fibers, you need ATP, because ATP is a short burst energy thing. So we use ATP in short bursts. So that's what we use to create short bursts of power. We're going to use it to create long bursts of power, long energy. So if we're running a marathon, our ATP won't really be as high as if, or we won't need to use as much ATP as if we're running a sprint. Although ATP will increase and mitochondrial count will increase when you have good amount of slow twitch muscle fibers. If you train, no matter what you train, you'll increase it, but you'll generally see a bigger increase if you're doing these big explosive movements and explosive sports, because your body's adapting to create more explosive power, which leads to more mitochondria, which just makes you a better athlete in general. So everything just works in a circle to help you out. And it's interesting too, since George Lucas, if you guys know, and that's what inspired me to make this video. I was watching one of his old interviews. He even says it himself, that he got midichlorians from mitochondria. He got it from mixing mitochondria with, I don't know what else it was. He had something else. And those two words, he mixed them together to make midichlorians. And honestly, guys, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I used to watch like all the movies, and I've still watched some of the shows. Sadly, some of the newer ones aren't as good as the old ones. So if you guys are ever wanting to comment down below or talk about it, I'm open to talking about it. I love Star Wars, and I love this too. If you want to talk more about this fitness stuff, how mitochondria works, how the mitochondria benefits the cells, and how that leads to you having overall more energy, more power, and feeling better in general. But that's pretty much it for the video. This is a short video for today. So yeah, comment down below, hit the like, subscribe. If you guys are interested and you guys want to see anything more from me, anything you're interested in, let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye, guys.